And JJ, first of all, thank you for being with us. We really appreciate it. Before we get into what you're seeing this season with your team, we've already seen some little bit of controversy in spring training based on baseball's new rules. But what do you think of the new rules, and do you like them as far as helping speed up the game?
No, I definitely like them. We've played 3 games, and all 3 games have been under 2 hours and 30 minutes. But I think more importantly, they've been clean games. The game's moving well. The defense has played well. So I think there's some residual effects to speeding the game up, which will make our game a better game. So I am in favor of the rules. I know we're going to go through some funky situations like we did the other day with the Braves and the Sox, but that's why we're doing it in spring training, and eventually everybody will get used to them, and probably won't even notice them a month or 2 into the season.
Are there any of these rule changes that you think your organization can benefit from specifically? Because I'm looking at the bigger bases, and we know that this should probably increase base stealing attempts. And Bobby Witt Jr., pretty fast around the base pass. Are there any rules specifically, especially that one, you think that the Royals will be specifically better for?
Yeah, we've always, in the time that I've been a part of the organization, have been a team that likes to run. We like to steal bases, and that starts in the minor leagues for us. We like to have lead every league in attempts when we're an A ball or down, and then lead the league in successful percentages when it's AA up. So that because that fits our style of game and the way that we like to play, we're excited about that one because I do think it favors the base stealer. And the other one is the shift, but I think probably most teams feel that way if you have a lot of left-handed hitters, which we do. So there's a lot more holes out there for our guys to get a few hits.
We're talking with JJ Picollo, Royals General Manager and Executive Vice President of Baseball Operations. Been with the franchise since 2006. You were an assistant GM with this team, and they went to back-to-back World Series in 2014 and 2015. So when you're starting to build this team back up into a contender, how much does that experience with this team help you?
Well, it's helped me quite a bit and helped our entire front office because the thing that we had to do is we had to be patient. And, we're in a phase right now similar to 2012, 2013, just prior to going to those World Series. But, it will test you because there's going to be, last year was a season of a lot of growing pains, and there's going to be more of that this year because we will have a fairly young lineup. Our rotation is still going to be with some inexperienced guys, but that's what we can learn from the last experience that will probably carry us through the difficult times, knowing that at the end of the day, the commitment we're making to young players, knowing that they'll grow and get better, will lead us to better days. So we're excited to be in that position.
Let's go back to Bobby Witt Jr. because the guy was electric to watch. As a rookie, was, I believe, 4th in Rookie of the Year voting last season, 20 home runs, 30 steals. Where do you think that Bobby Witt Jr. can still get better?
Well, he is a really special talent. We've been fortunate to be around a lot of great players over the years, but I don't know if I've been around one that's the complete package, from the tools to actually having the skills to use the tools, to being a great teammate and understanding what this game's about. He's pretty special. But, there are a couple things, and Bobby would be the first to tell you, from an offensive standpoint, once he makes some better swing decisions, his numbers are really going to skyrocket. He's got a tendency to chase a high fastball or a breaking ball, which is very natural for any player, but especially when you're 21 in major leagues. But that's one area that his numbers could really just explode if he's able to improve just a bit on that. And then the other thing that I think will happen simply because he's going to be out there every day is his defense. Last year we were moving him from short to third, back to short. I don't think we ever gave him a chance to really settle in at shortstop until the end of the year, and his metrics and just our eyes alone told us he was getting more comfortable at shortstop. So they're the two areas. But Bobby, regardless, is an exceptional player and going to be a key part of our team moving forward. But it's one of those guys you just love watching him play. That's probably the best way to sum him up. He's really fun to watch play.
JJ, Bobby gets a lot of the headlines for those younger players, and rightfully so, because he is an unbelievable talent. But when you have such a young roster of guys and some talent, how do you decide as a GM who gets elevated and who doesn't, outside of just looking at the stat sheet? Because for me, it's easy to say, oh, this guy hit this or did this. Your job is much more nuanced than that.
Yeah, I really count on our AAA staff. We have a roving coordinating staff, catcher, infield, outfield coaches that rove around, so they see the players a lot. But it's the AAA staff, because what we really want to feel good about is when a certain player is going to face adversity in the major leagues, how are they going to respond? And it's the coaches that have been with that player day to day that probably can give you the best feel for that. And that's an important thing, because I remember last year we had Vinny Pasquantino, who was just really dominating AAA, and he got to the point where if we don't call him up soon, I think our fans are just going to walk on us. So we called Vinny up, and his first 2 weeks, he really had nothing to show for it. I mean, he was a few hits here and there, but really kind of struggled. But he hit the ball hard, and that was what carried him in his mind. But he didn't panic. He was able to just kind of work through that rough beginning. And our coaches in AAA had told us, there's nothing to worry about. He's going to respond to adversity well, and he faced it right away. And eventually the ball started falling for him, and he went on to have a great rookie year.
So looking at baseball over the last few years, it seems like it has shifted so much towards analytics and sabermetrics and all of these numbers. So looking at the Royals, who were in the World Series and won a World Series back in 2015, those years, how much has the game changed since you guys were sitting at the top of the mountain? And how many things have changed, when building a team?
Yeah. No, it has changed quite a bit. And, the thing that I think everybody that's in the game would recognize is we have always utilized and valued, numbers. That's been part of the game for a long, long time. But I think where it's changed the most, in the 7-8 years you're speaking of is how technology and data is affecting player development. That's where I see the biggest shift. I mean, the game planning, the advanced scouting, that certainly is more advanced. But when you draft a player today, they come in with a knowledge of data and analytics that we've like never before, because they've grown up going to pitching labs, hitting labs. They play in college programs that have pitching and hitting labs. So their vocabulary and their knowledge is so much greater than it's ever been. So our coaches have to be able to meet them halfway and adapt. But the development part of technology and analytics is where I think it's really just taken off, and it's going to continue. I'm realizing that every day, that it's going to continue, because the players are excited about it. They're excited about knowing what their swing metrics look like, knowing what their biomechanic assessments are, and how do I apply that to get better. So that curiosity players have isn't going to go away, and it's just going to continue to grow.
JJ, before we let you go, do you like the new balance scheduling this year?
I love it.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a little bit tougher for ourselves, because our division, we're going to have to play the East and the West more than we have. But I think it's great for the game. I think it's great that our fans are going to get to see the great players come to Kansas City every other year. I really, and truthfully, playing the White Sox every other week sometimes, as it felt sometimes, isn't too exciting. So I'm glad to face some other teams and see some other opponents.
He is the Royals general manager and executive vice president of baseball operations. Been with the club since back in 2006 and building this team up brick by brick. JJ Picollo. JJ, we really appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.